Welcome to VSB After the Bell. I'm your host, Gianna Chow. With deep gratitude and respect, we are honored to be learning and unlearning on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Hamathquiyam, Skohomish Ohomeom, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. The Vancouver School Board is among the most diverse school systems in Canada, with an annual enrollment of approximately 50,000 students from kindergarten to grade 12 and adult education students. We have a recurring segment on the show called Matter of the Month, where we address the most talked about topics. This can be anything from a success story to a controversial issue. As Jon Snow would say, winter is coming, if you get the Game of Thrones reference. This month, we're helping families prepare by sharing what you need to know and how to find it during inclement weather. Joining me today to discuss this topic is VSB Superintendent Helen McGregor. Helen, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Okay, so we say inclement weather. This terminology may not be known by a wide range of audiences. So what does that mean? What are we talking about exactly?
Excellent question in understanding what does language mean. So VSB has procedures in place for when severe weather may affect schools. And we have lots of specific criteria that may warrant the closure of schools, but also our district offices. And that can involve heavy snowfall, extreme cold, freezing rain, extreme heat, other hazardous weather or emergency conditions that pose risks to students and staff safety. And we put that all together with the term inclement weather.
So when there is inclement weather, then how are decisions made if a school should be closed or open?
Behind the scenes, I'm a big part of that. It's a very big decision for us to consider closing schools, and we do it with deep consideration about safety, equity, and well-being. District staff members, in collaboration with the City of Vancouver and other folks behind the scenes and other school districts, are carefully monitoring the weather, the conditions, and understanding safety across the City of Vancouver. We coordinate with other neighboring school districts to align our decisions where possible. We know that we have students in Vancouver attending our schools, but we also have staff who live all over as they head into work on a given day. So it's important to us to have as much information as possible to make our decisions.
Closing a school is a fairly big decision as it impacts several different groups. What are all the considerations that are taken into account before making that final call?
As you said, lots to consider. When weather comes, it can have different impacts, and it can have different impacts in different parts of the city. We take a look at things like transit delays. We have to consider meal programs for students. We need to look at other essential supports for students that may impact learning. If the weather conditions might be okay at this moment, but are to worsen during the day, usually, if something happens during a school day, we will keep our schools open until the end of the school day. So lots of factors always in these decisions, and many staff behind the scenes making sure that we have as much information as possible to make the decisions.
It's a big decision, and opening or closing a school, sometimes it's not a hard and fast rule. It's not black and white. What would you typically lean towards when you're considering opening or closing a school?
We know that safety is our number one priority, and that's going to be the foundation behind any decision. We also understand the importance of schools to families, to students, from an equity lens and in a support and learning lens. We're going to always, if we have the opportunity from a safety perspective to keep our schools open, that is what we're going to do. But if there is a district-wide closure, making the decision and telling everybody by 6:30 a.m. We know that there's lots of things that people need to plan when that happens, the impact on many employees, students, and families, and figuring out what people's plans are.
It really sounds like we try our best to keep schools open because we know that's an expectation, that's part of the regular routine for families, for people going to work, and it's only when it's absolutely necessary then we will close the school, and that's because there is just no way to safely get to the school for staff, for students, for families. Earlier you mentioned a 6:30 announcement. So that's our commitment to tell families and staff first thing in the morning so they can organize their day. What does that look like for you then? When do you start to have discussions? Can you give us a play-by-play from when you wake up and when 6:30 comes around? What happens in between those times?
The day will start usually around 4:30. It probably has led up to the previous evening if we see that something's coming, is monitoring and talking to other folks. But really a start at 4:30.
Yeah.
And starting to have conversations with team members who are talking to the City of Vancouver, conversations and monitoring of TransLink, bus companies who provide busing for our students, other public institutions across Vancouver, other superintendents, in the Metro Vancouver area. The goal is really to get as much information as possible. I have a teenager in my household who's often wondering what's going on as all of this is happening very early in the morning in our household. And that will continue as we get more information and new information, because sometimes the conditions can change as well. So right up until 6:30, it's gaining as much information as we possibly can to make a good informed decision. I know how important it is to have schools operating for families, but we have to do it in a safe way. We know that every day there's many supports and learning happening for students, but also many students who receive hot meals at schools every day. So a huge responsibility and decision. And as getting up to 6:30, it's making sure that our senior team and all of the team know what the decision is. It's communicating out to make sure families and staff know what the next steps are for 6:30. And it continues. Some families may not know that school has been canceled and their students arrive, and ensuring that we have staff on place, working with all of the facilities teams to be on sites, to check out the facilities, to deal with the inclement weather. In this case, if we're talking snow, to make sure that snow clearing and salting and all of the things that need to happen to create safe learning spaces for the next day that our schools will be open.
That's interesting. You mentioned that you still have staff at schools in case a student comes in, showing that safety is truly our top priority and we genuinely care about the well-being of students. We don't want to be in a situation where a family member misses the school closure message, drops their kids off to school, and then the student has no way to go into the school or anywhere to go for that matter. So even during a school closure, we want to make sure everyone is safe. Pivoting from here, you mentioned a decision is made by 6:30. So what is the best way for families to receive this information?
We make sure that district-wide school closures are announced through the media, all of the media that we can reach, district and school websites, and social media channels. Behind the scenes, as that decision is made, conversations between me and the communications team who are going to make sure that information is posted. We really believe it's important to use many methods because many people look for information. We have a variety of social media channels that we use. Our Facebook, which is Vancouver School Board, Instagram, at VSB39, X at VSB39, and our VSB website is vsb.bc.ca. If people are looking to know and they see that the weather isn't great outside and they have some concerns, that's the place to go.
Check our channels. Thank you, Helen, so much for being here today. As the weather gets colder and we're really feeling the cold breeze these days, it's important that we are all prepared and we get ready for inclement weather. I hope this was informative for families. My key takeaway is be proactive and follow our channels to help you plan for an unexpected day. Thank you for listening. We'll catch up with you next time after the bell.
Thank you so much.
Follow us on Instagram at VSB39 to make sure you don't miss when the next episode drops. Or subscribe to VSB After the Bell on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Special thanks to music teacher Mr. Bonnell and the Nightingale Elementary students for the original theme songs.
After the bell with the VSB.